Well, the big news, of course, is Trump's big, beautiful bill and whether or not it will pass. It's looking like it won't. There haven't been too many developments, and we may be waiting until Friday when no one's going to be paying attention to see if it actually makes it through the House, of which, I'm going to say it again, I don't think it will. There are some developments there, but not a whole lot to go on to lead off tonight's episode. So we're going to go with Donald Trump threatening to arrest Zohran Mamdani because he has talked about obstructing ICE from doing their job in New York, to which I have said any politician that is obstructing by force the enforcement of the law should be charged with seditious conspiracy, which specifically states that if you're trying to obstruct the enforcement of law, that's a seditious conspiracy. But unfortunately for us, conservatives tend to be a little weak. And the general argument is, oh, no one would ever do that. The law's not going to be used that way. Well, I do think it should. And so Trump was asked about this, and he said, we're going to have to arrest him if that's the case. Going on to say, we don't need a communist in this country. He's going to keep an eye on New York, and he ain't going to be having it. So we'll talk about that. Plus, oh boy, New Yorkers re-upping their hotels for illegal immigrants. And here's where it gets fun. There's a conspiracy theory right now with millions of views on the left that Donald Trump, I kid you not, is loading up cargo planes full of illegal immigrants, flying over the Atlantic, dumping them out of the plane, and then returning. I'm not kidding. There are numerous videos on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, with millions of views where the users are showing flight patterns, showing stories out of Majorca where they're like dead bodies were found shackled, and they are claiming the Trump admin is extrajudicially engaging in executions of illegal immigrants. Not the Bee has the story, so we'll definitely talk about that. Before we get started, my friends, we got a great sponsor. It is Lear Capital. My friends, you guys have any silver? I got a bunch of silver right here, in fact. I got a big stack of it. I've had silver for a long time. I think silver's fantastic. I bought it a while ago, as well as gold, because I was concerned about what's going on with inflation. To me, you take a look at the value of the dollar over the past 100 years, and it becomes kind of obvious that the dollar just keeps dying. Right now, with the big, beautiful bill, what are they saying? Massive deficit spending. And most of us agree, even those who know the bill's got to pass, this deficit spending is going to be really, really bad for the value of the dollar. It's going to strip the buying power from the American people. So that's just one reason I'm a big fan of silver. Not to mention, of course, you guys, let's talk about technology. With what's going on in development with AI, electric vehicles, silver is definitely a major component of this. So all of these tech, it's increasing, it's driving a massive demand for silver, especially AI. Some of the biggest technological shifts in our lifetime, silver is essential to making it work. Since 2020, silver prices have jumped as much as 190%, and it's still trading at what many experts are calling bargain prices. So right now, some say we're in a I believe we are in a multi-year deficit. Demand is outpacing supply. Add all of the AI stuff that's popping up in every company trying to win this race, especially with, once again, the big, beautiful bill, how they were trying to get that 10-year block on any state trying to regulate it. The expectation is they're going to be buying up as much as they can to build this up. It's going to get massive. Some analysts are warning the ongoing deficit could turn to a full-blown shortage. Robert Kiyosaki, the guy behind Rich Dad, Poor Dad, thinks it could double or even triple by the end of 2025. So if you guys are serious and you want to learn more about this, get out of the curve, I recommend you guys check out Lear Capital, L-E-A-R, Capital. They've got a free report out called The AI Revolution, and it breaks down exactly why silver prices are primed to soar. You can call 1-800-489-6450. Once again, that's 1-800-489-6450, or go to leartim.com. Check it out. And legit, I've had a bunch of silver for a hot minute. And also, don't forget, my friends, dccomedyloft.com. Go to the events. We got 3 events up right now. They're going to be fun, funny, informative, live tapings of the Culture War podcast. Now, we haven't confirmed the talent and the debate topics for the 26th or August 9th, but on August 2nd, Michael Malice, angry cops, 2 very funny men debating the issue of policing. I will be there hosting along with Alex Stein. We've got just over 100 or so tickets remaining, so definitely go and check them out. That's going to be, of course, August 2nd. Don't miss it. It's going to be a lot of fun. But also, don't forget to smash the like button. Share the show right now with everyone you know. Joining us tonight to talk about this and so much more is Braxton McCoy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. It's good to be back. I'm going to try not to get you demonetized this time.
Right on. Well, who are you? What do you do?
Last time I called TSA agents the R word. Yeah, so I'm going to try not to do that this time. Part owner of Pasture Peaks, author. Is that what you're looking for? I don't know what you were looking for.
I was going to say you can say that your career as you're a guy who calls ICE agents or TSA agents retards.
What? So you can do it now?
Oh, we brought it back.
Oh, okay, cool.
We brought it back.
Well, I'm way more comfortable now. Got my words back, dude.
Yeah, it's been a hot minute, but the culture war is shifting, and we've been winning, so it's been pretty good.
Cool.
But yeah, right on, man. Well, it's going to be fun. Thanks for hanging out. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to add about what you do, or you're good?
No, yeah. Thanks.
All right, we got Brett's
Thanks for
hanging
having
out. Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on, guys? Yeah, like Tim buys stock or buys gold and silver. I'm going to be buying stock in Johnson & Johnson baby oil because of the Diddy trial coming to a close today. But my name is Brett Dasvik. I am the host of Pop Culture Crisis, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific. You should hang out with us.
Hello, everybody. My name is Phil Labonte. I'm the lead singer of the heavy metal band All That Remains. I'm an anti-communist and a counter-revolutionary. Let's get into it.
Here's a story from ABC News. Trump falsely questions Zohran Mamdani's citizenship.
Still doing that.
Adding the falsely?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what does that even mean in this context?
Sorry
So
for derailing anyway.
Trump, there are many people questioning Zohran Mamdani's citizenship because they're arguing he lied on his immigration and naturalization forms by claiming he did not support terrorism when he was rapping that he did, this certain group that was charged over it. But he then goes on to threaten to arrest him over ICE operations, and this is exactly what I voted for, calling him a nut job. Check this out. The president continued to allege the 33-year-old Democratic socialist is a communist while talking to reporters Tuesday at the new so-called Alligator Alcatraz migrant detention center in Florida's Everglades. When asked by a reporter what his message is to Mamdani, after he said in a victory speech following the New York City Democratic mayor primary that he would stop masked ICE agents from deporting our neighbors, Trump responded, well, then we'll have to arrest them. We'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation. Trump also referenced false claims that Mamdani's in the country illegally. He said a lot of people are saying he's here illegally. We're going to look at everything. Ideally, he's going to turn out to be much less than a communist, but right now he's a communist that's not a socialist. Born in Uganda, he's lived in the U.S. since he was 7 years old and became a naturalized citizen. Right, and the argument for why he's illegal is that he lied on his naturalization forms, as I mentioned. Now, it gets better. Bill de Blasio vows to organize Human Shield if Trump seeks to arrest Zohran Mamdani over promised ICE actions should he become mayor. He said Donald Trump will have to go through a lot of us first if he wants to arrest Zohran Mamdani, to which my response is, the seditious conspiracy law says that if you use force to stop the U.S. from enforcing its laws, you too are guilty of a seditious conspiracy. So I think by virtue of him saying this, lock him up.
RICO charges.
RICO charges against him and any lawyer who tries to help him, like they did with Donald Trump's lawyers. If he wants to hire a lawyer, just bring RICO charges and says, aha, you're conspiring to help this seditious conspirator. I say arrest them all.
I think that this back and forth between Trump, I wish that Trump wouldn't engage because it's only raising Mamdani's profile. Yeah. I mean, it's already a bad thing, but the way that the reaction throughout the media has been about Mamdani getting, winning the nomination, I wish that people would just kind of be like, yeah, okay, cool, and let it go. But I don't think that the Republicans have that in them. They're gonna look to attack him, even though he is just a mayor of, even though it's the biggest city, it's still only a city. It's not like he's a governor. It's not like he's got significant power nationwide.
You have a point?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say we were trying to figure out what the big story of the day was because honestly, there's a couple. It's Diddy. But there's really not much to be said about the Diddy case. He was found not guilty on the trafficking stuff. He was found guilty of prostitution. And so it's like, okay, he's kind of a bad guy. And some of it was, he was found guilty of. Then there's also the big, beautiful bill, of course. However, there's no big movement on it. And so we talked about it. And I said, I think Trump threatening to arrest Zohran Mamdani is pretty big because this is the action we've been waiting to see. Democrats who are violating the law. It's a huge deal. Admittedly, however, based on social media trends and just kind of how I feel about it, we're in a weird place where it feels kind of uneventful that Trump is threatening to lock up a potential mayor of New York City. Rep. McIver has already been charged. And we've got this big fraud case where 324 people were charged. It feels weird that it's not the most alarming thing in the country that Trump is saying he will arrest a mayor.
I just think that we should arrest and deport anyone who eats rice with their hands.
Yes.
That's good enough for me.
It is weird how they suddenly start caring about states' rights when they're not in charge of the federal government for 4 years. They always want overarching extreme federal power, except for when the other side. Granted, both sides can do that, but it seems so much more blatant, and it's always related to sanctuary cities.
I mean, I don't know.
Lock them all up.
Yeah, it's such a silly the back and forth between Trump and Mamdani. It's gonna be 3 years, for the next 3 years of annoying back and forth. It's just gonna be silly and kind of dumb, and all it's gonna do is make Mamdani, the kind of the poster child for the left.
I don't agree.
Fascism.
Yeah,
I do not agree. This was kind of my point, that everyone's desensitized to what's actually going on. A Democratic member of Congress was arrested and charged for assaulting an ICE officer. These things have happened. I think the probability that Trump arrests Mamdani or goes into New York by force and starts shutting down components of their government, I think there's actually a very strong probability he does this.
I think we should hope that he does, because to hit on your point, what you're noticing is that the left is good at winning. Mm-hmm. And you win by winning, and conservatives usually fall back on this principle thing.
They love
actually going out and getting a win.
They love to fall back and lose on principle.
Yeah,
it's their favorite thing.
Which is, it's absolutely awful, because if you don't win, you have no ability to institute your policies. And we were talking about this last night or whatever. You have to win in order to, or you have to use power when you have it, because that the left is they've shown over and over and over that when they get into the position of power, they're going to use it, even to their own detriment, like the changing of the rules that ended up allowing McConnell to put conservative or allowing McConnell to make sure that the Republicans could put conservative justice on. They still exercise power when they have it, and the Republicans, honestly, they need to do that more.
There is a mosquito flying around in here.
There is.
And I will give 1 silver coin to anybody who gets it.
I did catch it that one time.
A fly. Yeah. It's a true story. Brett went whoosh and caught a fly. And everyone was like, what?
Ninja in his spare time.
Anyway.
You don't think that this is the type of thing where Trump addressing it more and more raises this guy's profile more than it needs to be raised? I mean, giving a guy who benefits from more airtime for something, especially if you're not going to act on this, if you're not going to go in and arrest this guy, just
do it. I was
saying, but do you honestly think that he will go in and do it?
I think there's a decent probability. I don't know for sure.
I don't buy that he will do it, and I think that if he doesn't intend to go do it, then giving the guy airtime is.
They arrested a judge. They arrested, charged, indicted a grand jury return indictment on Rhett McIver. So these moves have been made. I don't think. I mean, let's even go back in time and talk about what Democrats did to Trump, arresting his lawyers in multiple states. So the door is wide open, and the Trump admin has already made similar moves. So I think the answer is he probably will do it. Now, that being said, people are bringing up these questions of but won't this make Zoran Mamdani more popular, more prominent? I don't care. I am done with this argument of let Democrats be evil and burn our country to the ground. Otherwise, people will find out they exist. Yeah. If there are evil people in New York that will defend a guy for being evil, then it's better we just get it over with, arrest them, lock them up when they break the law, and then we've got to deal with a population of evil people.
Yeah, I'm with you. And also, as far as raising his profile, I understand the concern there, but he's going to be the mayor of the biggest city in the world or country, and it's like a cultural capital. He's going to be in the news either way. I mean, this guy's going to be front and center whether you arrest him or not. And so I would rather it be in chains, and so I don't have to see any more videos of him eating rice with his hands.
One was too many.
Yeah.
One was too many.
He's trying to come across, trying to relate to the third likely going to be the mayor of the capitalism capital of planet Earth.
But when did he eat the rice with his hands? Was that recently?
I'm not sure.
It was like an old video though, wasn't it?
I don't know. I just saw the video yesterday, and I'm still bothered by it.
He was making claims about the perspectives that you get when you eat rice with your hands or whatever.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
yeah.
Wait, what was he saying?
Yeah, he was like, you can't relate to the third world unless you eat like the third world, essentially. And to which I would say I have no interest in relating with the third world. I like it over here in the first world.
See, that's just unfettered globalism. We need to roll things backwards.
I don't believe the guy's actually
He was
anything.
shot in 2023.
Yeah, I don't think this dude is anything other than a power-hungry psychopath.
Yeah, he's a politician, so of course he's a power-hungry psychopath.
Yeah, but I mean, some of these people like are members of Congress. I wouldn't necessarily call all of them power-hungry psychopaths. I would call them like sniveling, groveling sycophants. You know, some of them just suckle at the teat of the military-industrial complex and have no illusions about being president. Now, this is the kind of guy who wants to, you know, genocide hundreds of millions of people. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that somewhat facetiously. I'm saying he strives to be a Stalin or a Lenin.
I don't know if it really is facetious. Did you see that proposal he put out where he's going to crack down on white neighborhoods with taxes and
Yeah.
I mean, he's kind of saying the quiet part out loud, you know.
Only because he can. You know, CNN had this article up in February that said Trump's agenda will fail because white people don't have babies. Yeah. Like, the fact that the dude can publicly say, vote for me and we will tax white people shows you what happens with this demographic change. Even CNN made the point. Demographics is destiny. Wow, CNN. Didn't
Race realists over there at CNN.
Yeah. Obviously, I think
true.
It's not that. I don't think it's true, actually. I think.
No, I mean, they're the race realists.
Right. I think Europe went through the Enlightenment. This is where white people are, and so you get the American colonies, largely of white people saying we're going to create a country, accepting of different races and multiculturalism under the umbrella of an ideology. You end up with people like Clarence Thomas, who's based AF, and he's a black guy. It's not about being white, because certainly the Clarence Thomas is the best of us, but when you import from the third world, it doesn't matter if they're white or brown people. They come from a country that doesn't have our values. That will outnumber the values of the Americans, and that's when you lose your nation.
Yeah, it's more to do with your actual like love of the country. I sent you an article the other day about Gen Z as the lowest sense of national pride of any prior generation, which isn't hard to understand, right? They've been chipping away at that as far as the media and pop culture and everything. They've been chipping away at the idea of being proud of being an American for a very, very long time. But now you're seeing kind of between that chipping away of actual born citizens' pride and then immigration, and then there's just no sense of like cultural American identity anymore. It's like when they talk about like white people don't have culture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it like Trudeau said that Canadians have no culture?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Like that self-hatred is disgusting. Yeah. Like
they have poutine.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You know? Nothing else.
Bryan Adams, I think.
Oh, really?
Shania Twain.
Bryan Adams?
Bryan Adams,
all right.
Shania Twain, Sarah McLachlan. And,
But you know what? I think maybe like Seth Rogen cancels him out.
fair enough.
I mean, look, there's a lot of great television that's been filmed in Canada, so I'll give them a pass on that, but for everything else, they don't get a pass.
Let's jump to the next story, ladies and gentlemen. The big, beautiful bill. What is next? Well, the Post-Millennial writes it, but they bury the lead. Thomas Massey is saying that there are probably 10 no's at the moment, meaning the Trump big, beautiful bill will likely fail. So they say the Congressional Budget Office estimates the bill would add roughly $3.3 trillion to the federal debt over the next decade. One of the most vocal critics has been Rep. Thomas Massey of Kentucky, a fiscal conservative who opposes the bill's size and lack of spending cuts. Massey confirmed the next Wednesday that there are probably 10 no's at the moment among House Republicans. The GOP has a narrow 220 to 212 majority in the House. Now, this is interesting. You have to have 218 votes to pass a bill. I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think that Congress is fake. I don't think it's a real institution. I believe maybe it was at some point. But how does it make sense that there is a majority that can make the rules and they never do? And that you have this parliamentarian in the Senate who can just change the bills and you can't do anything about it. I think it's all fake. It's smoke and mirrors. And they're going, oh, woe is me. We can't actually do these things, all heavens. And then they're going to do or not do whatever they want.
AI. It's just fake now.
Maybe the AI took over a long time ago and Mike Johnson is actually just a hologram.
Yeah. I mean, remember when Mike Johnson was elected? Everyone's like, I don't even know who this guy is.
Yeah, where's he from, Louisiana?
Yeah.
I think so.
Like, nobody knew who he was.
I don't remember the last time that someone was elected to be the Speaker of the House that I was familiar with previously.
Yeah.
I had no idea who McCarthy was before he was Speaker. So yeah, I mean that. To
But
me,
there were people like Jim Jordan, right? Was
Yes.
was running for the
I
speakership.
would have loved to see Jim Jordan.
Yeah, but I really do think that there's a deep state. The deep state is bigger than people realize, and Congress is just smoke and mirrors. That's why Al Green doesn't really get censured. That's why Mike Johnson didn't do anything about it. I think the whole thing is just one big magic act.
Zinke kind of alluded to that on a podcast I was listening to today. He was saying, Congressman Zinke from Montana, he was saying that he knew that the deep state was real and that it was a swamp, but he didn't realize how big the deep state was. And he said something to the effect of, I thought I needed hip waders, but what I really needed was a boat when I got there. So he's kind of saying the same thing as what you are.
Like, why is Mike Johnson bringing all the Democrat bills to the floor, but not the Republican, not the MAGA ones? And it's just all fake.
Can I ask a question on this, though? Which particular revision that happened in the Senate is the one that's holding people up now? Because as far as I understand, the spending didn't change from the bill that got passed in the first reconciliation sent up to the Senate. The spending levels were the same, right?
There were goodies that were placed in it for conservatives, like the Hearing Protection Act and the Short Act.
Yeah.
And I believe that's largely gutted now.
Yeah, it's only they've made the tax $0, but you still have to register and stuff. But
and we will save a little bit more on this, but the update on the gambling provision is that the parliamentarian added in a poison pill, which I think nukes the bill no matter what, or destroys the Republicans' chance of winning in the midterms. So we'll get more to that, but basically there have been changes made to it at the Senate level where you're going to get a ton of Republicans to be like, absolutely not.
I mean, personally, I like that because I want to see the bill made into the best piece of legislation that it can be. I know it's going to be a lot of garbage. It's 900 pages, but look, I think the tax cuts are important. I think that the funding for the border stuff is important. I personally want to see the NFA stuff in there. I want to see the changing of that. I don't want to see illegal aliens getting Medicare or Medicaid. I don't want to see the United States continue to have policies that attract illegal aliens, that make it attractive to come here illegally. I want to see changes that make it more difficult and that disincentivizes. But I think that it's going to get passed. Eventually, and I don't know what it will look like when it does. But.
So the other day, the news source that we had pulled up said they needed 218 votes, but NBC says the first time it passed, it was 215 to 214, just a simple majority of the sitting of the available House members, not the 3 vacancies because Democrats had died. So I'm wondering if it's actually if they lose 5 votes, because right now it's 220 to 212. So there's a certain amount of votes they can lose. I think it's 3 or 4.
I'm fairly confident in the House it's just simple majority is all they need. Mm-hmm. But to your point, we need the money for deportations and on the Medicaid, Medicare, all that other stuff. What is that, like 60% of the budget right now is social programs?
Always going to be, and we're addicted to it. No one's ever going to reject it.
But if you have 50 million, I'm just throwing a number out there that I've seen. If you have 50 million people and some percentage of that is illegally collecting benefits off of there, I mean, you're reducing your spending just by getting rid of those.
What do we have the estimated number on the getting illegal immigrants off of Medicaid?
I've seen, I don't have a solid number for you. I've seen varying numbers. I've also talked to a person inside the government that told me that they have better estimates of how many illegals are here than they put out in public. I have no idea if that's true, but I had a person tell me that.
I just say we should get rid of all entitlements. No bridges, no roads,
Yes.
No, everybody has to make their own killdozer.
No more science experiments on rats, making them swim. Testing to see whether
or beagles.
Testing whether fish feel pain. I'm half kidding, but it is a problem where no one running for office can threaten to take away your freebies. No one can. Anybody goes up there and says we shouldn't be taking money from the young to pay the old, you'll lose 2 seconds.
Yep.
No.
Good luck. Good luck building a society when you must maintain either the same level of extraction or increased levels of extraction.
And have a population that's shrinking.
Right. It's impossible.
Yeah, and what's the average age of a boomer right now? Like 60, 2 or something.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
roughly.
Yeah.
So you got life expectancy is about 72 in the U.S., something like that.
You know what I love too is you know what all the boomers say? It's my money. I paid into it. I deserve it. And it's like, okay, well, like here's the problem. I'm paying into it right now and I don't get to have it. So you see there's an impasse. And I think what's going to happen is the estimates on Social Security are that it's going to reach the point where it can only pay out what goes in. And so benefits will be reduced to around 70 or so percent. Considering, however, that people are living longer and you need between 2 and 4 workers to fund one Social Security recipient, and Gen Alpha is only 40 million people, I don't think there will be enough workers to fund even 70%. So the system just buckles and collapses. So to all the boomers out there saying, well, but I paid into it, so it's mine, I'd be like, listen, you can't own something that does not exist. Thank you and have a nice day.
I mean, even if we had replacement numbers for the population, that still wouldn't be able to take care of all the entitlements. And so now that there's a shrinking population, that millennials are smaller than boomers, and Gen Z is a smaller generation than millennials, it's going to fail. It's just a matter of when and how it will fail.
What do you think that looks like? How does that look like when it actually fails?
So, well, what they'll do is they'll probably try to print their way out of it, which means it's going to be inflation, which means that the dollars that people get that are on fixed income, that are on Social Security, those dollars are going to be able to buy less. And that means that people that are expecting Social Security to pay for them, they're not going to be able to. You're going to have more old people eating cat food is what you're going to have. That's terrible, but you're going to have a lot more old people living off of less buying power because the amount of money that they're getting isn't going to change.
Yeah.
The dollar, the number of dollars isn't going to change. The most likely thing is that the United States is going to inflate it. It's possible that other countries call in their debt or what have you, but the most likely thing is that they're just going to monetize it and try and just pump more money into the system.
It is infuriating that they don't allow you to opt out of Social Security.
Yeah, and to that point, as they keep pumping money into the system, you're going to have young people that are going to only have the opinions they have now. They're going to only feel more strongly about it. They're going to say capitalism doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
the money that I make doesn't.
All right.
Pay for things.
New proposal: only net taxpayers get to vote.
I wish
You do that, entitlements disappear overnight. No question. So people don't understand this. Net taxpayer means you're paying more into the system than you're getting out. Most people who pay taxes are paying substantially less. I think it's only the top 10% who actually pay all the taxes. So if the top 10% of the United States left the country, the entirety of entitlements would just collapse and cease to exist, or the country would go through hyperinflation. So we got a problem with a country where people expect other people to pay their bills. Again, imagine going to the founding fathers and telling them in 200 years' time, half of all of the money a person makes will be taken by the government in some form to be distributed amongst those who are not producing for the country. They'd be like, that's insane. Well, that's exactly where we are right now.
Half of the money that you make is taken by the government, and the 250 years since the founding, the actual currency has lost probably 90% of its value as well.
Yep.
I think it's like the top 1% of taxpayers pay 40% of the federal taxes in this country.
Here's what people don't understand. When I say that half of all the money you make is taxed, people look at their tax bracket and they go, what do you mean? I'm only at the 20% tax bracket. And then you factor in property taxes, gasoline taxes, sales taxes, excise, sales, tariff, service, whatever. Overall, I think the average, when they actually wrap it up, is like 48% of all the money you make will be given away in taxes, will be given to the government in some form. So even if it's not income tax, when you buy gas, the prices, there's a tax in there you can't see. Cigarettes, they put taxes on that stuff. There's punitive taxes. All of your money.
All so that they can have somebody create some type of virus so that they can study how to cure the virus.
What was that?
They create biological weapons so that they can figure out how to come up with antidotes for biological weapons.
I think the most likely situation is going to be that they're going to end up inflating the currency, be hyperinflation, and then there'll be a war.
And it's
that's the thing. All the people that you have in power now, I think they really believe that what ended the Depression was the next war,
Yeah.
World War II. So you get those kind of people in power, and it makes you wonder what the decision making is going to look like, the process.
Let's jump to this next story from the Las Vegas Review-Journal, how Trump's big, beautiful bill could impact gamblers. Well, my friends, last night we talked about how there was a small 2-paragraph provision added to Trump's big, beautiful bill in the Senate that says that wagers can only be expensed up to 90%. So we have a bunch of updates on this and what it really means. The first thing I'm going to say is this was added to the bill. So we did some investigating. I see that mosquito over there.
Where is he?
He's over there. Anyway, so when this story broke, we did some investigating. And what we believe right now, based on our sources on the Hill, the Senate parliamentarian added this provision in. This individual is a Democrat. My personal belief is that this provision was added intentionally to sabotage the bill. And there's a lot to why this is the case. Right now, we've got Democrat members of Congress. Dina Titus of Nevada says, buried within the BS Republican budget bill is a provision that harms poker players and those who gamble by limiting loss deductions. I'm working on a legislative fix that fairly treats gaming losses in the tax code. It's going to be, at least right now, it looks like Democrats are swooping in to try and save the day. They say Rep. Dina Titus, Democrat, Derek Stevens, and Derek Stevens, co-owner of Circa, the D and Golden Gate Hotel Casinos, share similar concerns about this. So here's what I'm told happened. There was a tax rule that said any gaming, any wagering, you can deduct all of your losses against your winnings, but not more than your winnings. Basically, if you go to a casino and you're a regular person and you wager $100, you can't just write off $100. Only if you win. So this was set to expire, and the Senate initially said we just re-up it, whatever, who cares? The Senate parliamentarian wanted to take it out completely, which would have meant that literally gambling is impossible because no matter what you win, you got to pay taxes on everything, even when you lose money. So this would mean that if you won money but then lost it right away, the government would still consider that income. The Senate Finance Committee negotiated saying, well, let's just do 99%. The parliamentarian refused and said it's got to be 90, to which they agreed, thinking it didn't matter. What we're hearing now is this goes beyond gambling. This affects any kind of wagering in any kind of tournament, any kind of sporting event where you decide to enter. If you are in a golf tournament or a fishing tournament and you put money up to enter that tournament, that's considered wagering. At least that's what some of the people are arguing now. I'm not a tax lawyer. They're saying that that still qualifies as a loss, as a wager, as far as the tax code goes. So what's happening, and I'll tell you my thoughts on this. I think this was intentionally added by the parliamentarian, a Democrat, to create a circumstance that will target regular working class white dudes who live in Democrat urban areas that vote for Trump. Why? This effectively will shut down fantasy sports apps. So here's what I'm seeing from everybody. They're saying gambling is bad. Who cares anyway? Okay. The majority of like the middle-aged white dudes in Pennsylvania who shifted for Donald Trump, union working guys, who are now going to be asking questions as to why they can no longer go to their fantasy sports league or why they're getting taxed $3,000 at the end of the year for having done it. What I'm hearing from people, a lot of people are saying, well, who cares? Even if you go to Vegas, you're not really going to track all of this anyway. If your argument is just line your taxes, fair point, I guess. Most people don't want to do that, but you're right. People probably won't. They probably won't report this stuff. What I think happened, wild conspiracy. If you were a Democrat and you're trying to sabotage Donald Trump in the midterms, what group are you targeting? You're targeting like Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, where a lot of white working class people shifted for Donald Trump. What do these guys like doing? Fantasy sports on the weekends with their buddies. Sports betting on the weekends with their buddies. You do something like this, FanDuel, DraftKings, and whatever app you're using, you're going to open up the app one day and a notification is going to pop up saying, we do track every transaction you make and we'll be reporting that to the IRS as we're obligated to do. And then next year, some random 40-year-old dude who makes $50,000 a year is going to get a tax bill for $2,000 and say, I have no idea what just happened. Because a Senate parliamentarian Democrat injected in this bill that you can only write off 90% of your losses. So I think this is just one component of what Democrats likely conspired to do behind the scenes to make sure that it's a poison pill. If Amodei in Amodi, or whatever his name is, the Nevada congressman Republican, votes against Trump. Trump's going to primary him, right? Okay. If he votes for the bill, the people of Nevada will primary him. So it's a rock and a hard place. Looks like and not to mention Nevada was slim majorities between Republican and Democrat. If the Republicans pass this, you are going to see the entirety of the gaming industry, which includes sports tournaments and otherwise, blaming Donald Trump, saying this is his fault and it's bad for the industry, and this is $172 billion.
I mean, look, I don't know a whole lot about gambling at all, or the law surrounding it. But if you've got a state like Nevada that's got such a very slim majority,
Well, there's three. I think it's 3 Democrats, 1 Republican. But the Senate race was like 1 percentage point. Yeah, if the Republicans in the Senate vote passed this, Nevada's going to go Democrat 100%. It's going to never change.
I mean, look, this bill has the it's possible that this bill causes havoc with the midterms for Republicans, because there's a lot of people that are really upset with a lot of things in it.
I think that the bill needs to pass. Trump needs to get his budget for illegal immigration. But you would be crazy not to think or to believe that Democrats are not thinking ahead for how they can sabotage Republicans in the midterms. Knowing Trump's bill is going to pass, what would any clever person do? Can we get stuff put in there? There'll be a time bomb. Then in the midterms, we can run campaign ads saying that so-and-so Republican voted to tax your fantasy sports so that your hobby would effectively be shut down. Or a pro industry like the World Series of Poker. You're going to have all of these pros popping up already. Newsweek, NBC have written this up. I think it is only by luck we caught this one bad thing injected by the parliamentarian. But I'm willing to bet there's probably a dozen more nobody noticed because it's almost 1,000 pages.
I mean, selfishly, I like the idea of less people being at SHOT Show this year. But I understand the point that you're making. This is not something I had really known about until this morning. I was watching your show before we came on, and we got to get deportations going, so I want this thing to pass. But I do think you're making a fair point. I mean, what percentage of Nevada's revenue comes from travel to Vegas specifically for gambling? It's got
What about Kentucky?
Kentucky, yeah, and
Derby.
The Derby. Hey, we were talking about that behind the scenes. Everyone's trying to figure out why Thomas Massey is going so hard. Well, I mean, the Kentucky Derby revolves around gambling, at least partly.
Well,
so.
he was going hard against it before the Senate the parliamentarian. I want to stress this. This is the linchpin. The parliamentarian appointed by a Democrat put this in there. Why?
Can someone explain to me how the hell a parliament? I apologize for cursing. Gets appointed when you have control of the.
It's fake.
Like, how does that work?
The Republicans could easily remove the parliamentarian.
Yeah, that's really weird.
It's fake.
But it takes 50 a 50 senator vote to remove them, right? Or a majority vote?
Presumably, and we have how many seats? 52?
I'm not sure exactly.
I think it is 52, yeah.
So they theoretically should be able to just change the rules. That was the point of winning a majority. But they're not doing it. And they're going, oh no, the parliamentarian is doing things. There's nothing we can do to stop it.
Yeah, and in the Senate, because this is a reconciliation bill, it doesn't have to meet 60 up there either. It just has to make simple majority in the Senate too. Right?
This is the Byrd rule that basically the parliamentarian advises on what needs to go in it so that it can't be subject to the filibuster. And then all the members of the Senate just say, okay, whatever you say, parliamentarian.
And that's only there because it's a budgetary bill, not a policy bill.
Yes.
That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Theoretically, they could change all the rules, and the Republicans could say, we are going to win forever, but they are intentionally floundering. This is what they do. They're never intended to win. They're pulling a Washington Generals right now. They're whoopsie daisies.
Which is frustrating.
So I think people need to consider it is only because of pro poker players that this story actually got any attention. The World Series of Poker is happening right now. You got 100,000+ people flying into Las Vegas for the biggest event of the year. And there's tens of thousands of pro players. And they do this at one of the highest profile moments for the gaming industry. I'm like, that sounds intentional. It sounds like they were like, what will cause the biggest problem? So here's what I thought. Conservatives, many are cheering for it. They're like, oh, really? It's going to inadvertently ban gambling? Ha, good. It's like, okay, Kentucky Derby, Charlestown Races. Yeah. You've got all sports betting, ESPN. You've got DraftKings. You've got Barstool Sports. You've got FanDuel. You've got UFC. All of these industries. Then you've got to consider, too, and I'm not so sure on this one, but I saw people pointing out that wagering for tournaments, when you enter any kind of tournament, be it golf or fishing or anything where you go with a sponsor, the money paid up front is considered a wager because they pay out a prize pool.
No kidding.
So this means that entry fees can't be expensed 100% anymore. So if you enter a golf tournament and lose, you still have to pay on any money received, even though it cost you money to do. So it looks like they did this intending to set a time bomb for the midterms or something. Or like for Rand Paul and Massey, what choice do they have? Or, well, Massey's Tennessee, right?
I think he's Kentucky.
Massey's Kentucky.
He is Kentucky.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Rand Paul's Kentucky as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think it's those
Man.
two and then McConnell.
Imagine being like, guys, you can't bet on the horse at the Derby anymore.
Right, yeah.
You're going to lose money. So the thing about this that people should understand, I know we talked about it quite a bit, but I'll just lay it out, is that as a percentage base, it's an exponential loss for your recreational gamer or amateur, tournament goer. If you let's say every month you play in a tournament that costs $500, and you're like, man, I love fishing. It's $500 we do it once a month, and it's like a regional thing. That means you're going to be looking at about $6,000 wagered. So you're going to owe taxes on $600 if you break even on that tournament, and then you're going to have to pay, I don't know. You're going to be $180, $200 on your taxes, and you're going to get a bill in the mail, and you're going to wonder why it happened. You're going to open your FanDuel app, and it's going to say, we are now officially sending all of your information to the IRS. You're going to get a letter in the mail in June, and it's going to be like, based on the information from FanDuel, you owe an additional $2,000. Every time you wager money, if you break even, the amount of losses it's going to keep increasing, meaning the percentage base you owe goes up. If you bet $1 and you win and lose 1,000,000 times, you will owe the government taxes on $50,000. And you have only $1 to your name. It's insane. Long story short, they're sabotaging Trump's bill. They want to steal the midterms, and they're doing it in a way that conservatives are going to cheer for and regret it later.
It's not even stealing. It's just smart politics on their part.
It's masterful, man. I'm impressed, honestly. Yeah.
And it does call into question just how much of the American economy relies on gambling now. I know it's become a meme of sorts, especially in baseball, with how much gambling is involved in the market for them there. But it's definitely interesting.
I think, additionally, once again, I feel my thoughts on this are, we lost, we're fucked. Because conservatives can't see past the word gamble. They don't understand this is like a fishing tournament. This is like a 43-year-old guy being like, I'm going to go enter a fishing tournament, go fishing with the boys. And that's a wager against the prize pool. And at the end of the year, they're going to be like, you owe money on all your winnings. And he's like, but I'm negative now. Why can't I go fishing anymore?
I'm curious.
And all the conservatives keep saying is, fuck gambling. And I'm like, oh my God, dude.
Even fantasy sports is different when you think about it. They don't understand the difference between fantasy sports and gambling, considering how prevalent fantasy sports are for people these days.
I think the issue is that the bill says wagers, and people keep saying gambling. This is a tax on wagering in any capacity. You want to go to a golf tournament, they're taxing your winnings. You can't win anymore.
It sounds like if you're going to a shooting tournament and there's a gun on the line and you win it, that's considered income, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So
and you wagered against it.
Yeah.
That's wild, man.
Oh.
I wonder who actually put this language in the bill.
The Senate parliamentarian.
The parliamentarian
So
herself.
Lisa started digging around and asking Senate staffers, how did this get put in the bill? I have the tweet. Lisa Elizabeth says, I'm now hearing this on the parliamentarian invoking the Byrd rule, a specific change related to the deduction of gambling losses under the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act is scheduled to expire at the end of 25. You can deduct gambling losses up to the amount of your gambling winnings. Full stop. This is, again, the issue. It's wagering in the bill. Wagering, not gambling. Wager. Expiration at the end of 2025, a change introduced by the TCJA that temporarily removed the limitation that losses could not exceed 2% of adjusted gross income. I'm told the Senate parliamentarian flagged it and said no to the extension because of the Byrd rule. Congress went to her and asked for 99%. She said no and agreed to 90%. Her name is Elizabeth McDonough. She's supposed to have no political agenda, but she is no Trump fan and keeps delivering blows to his agenda. I should just. I think there's no way to explain this to conservatives to get them to understand what this will do to the midterms, because the only thing I keep hearing from most people is, but gambling is bad. And I'm like, right, okay, so don't enter any kind of tournament. No race car tournaments, no amateur racetracks, no destruction derbies, no golf, no fishing, no disc golf, no football, no frisbee, whatever it is. And then on top of that, you can talk about sports betting, UFC, the entirety of the gaming industry of Vegas. Like, this is a nuclear bomb.
I wonder if there's even like some type of other stats on what the political affiliations are as far as gambling, like which party gambles more, which which members.
Probably Democrats.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, and the Democrats are already the
I
ones.
mean, not if you're talking fishing tournaments and golfing tournaments and shooting tournaments. If we're going to talk about wagering as opposed to just gambling, then I would say that, isn't the joke always that the voters on the left, they don't have any money anyways?
Yeah, well, I
Wow.
wonder what this does.
Here's
people that do buy scratch off and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a chat right there for. I was going to read it from Martin Edgar. He says the lottery is a wager.
Yeah.
This is going to nuke a bunch of states. This is going to be absolutely insane.
And the thing is, people that do like scratch offs and stuff like that, they tend to actually be, poorer and lower on the income scale. That's going to really, really hurt those people. I mean, if they do any kind of, I imagine I don't imagine they're looking for deductions on their, for their losses, but at the same time, I mean, it could,
I mean, I don't see how they would be reporting the scratch offs and stuff like that. Like,
Check this out.
Individual stores aren't going to be reporting that.
Secession now super chatted $100 saying, "Here's $100. Please shut the fuck up about gambling. A gamble law tax code change. Nobody cares."
Extra 15 minutes on the same topic.
No. I'm reading this because it exemplifies exactly the point I'm making. Conservatives hate gambling and are happy to see Trump's agenda get blown the fuck up by a Democrat, and they don't care. And the midterms are going to come around, and they're going to wonder why they lose in a nuclear fashion. Like, swing districts could flip 10 seats because there's going to be some 50-year-old guy being like, I can't go fishing anymore. Like, I enter a fishing tournament every year in my town, and now I got a tax bill over it.
Look, I'll give in to this if we can at least get Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Well, all right.
I mean, honestly, I think that, like I said earlier, there's a lot of stuff in this that really could do a job on the Republicans come the midterms. And I still do believe that if the economy's good, they'll have a positive result in the midterms. I'm not going to talk about individually or whatever, but I think that if the economy's good, they can have a positive result in the midterms. But if the economy's bad, all of these things people are going to remember. And they go, oh, remember they did this, and I'm bummed out.
I'll say this: Amade will lose in Nevada. That's a seat flipped instantly. He normally wins by like 10 points he's like Reno, but the state, like Reno has gaming. Nevada is a gaming state. Imagine what the ads are going to be when they're like, Amade voted to destroy the gaming industry in Nevada, specifically with Trump.
Yeah, and I don't know a lot about this, but I constitutionally, I'm against, and I mean like personal constitution, not like it's written in there, but I'm against gambling. I don't think it's good, but you win by winning, and we need to win. So your point is taken. I don't know. It sounds plausible to me. I don't really have a strong opinion beyond that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's anything that is this controversial that has the negative reaction that this does. I mean, it's just it's a better idea to just get it out of there, get rid of it.
Let's jump to the next story. We got this from the Post Millennial. NYC signs $1 billion contract to expand hotel shelter program for illegals after Roosevelt Hotel shut down. These hotel units will be used by social service vendors to house emergency shelter clients who have entered the shelter system. I am for this. I could not be happier. $1 billion is not enough. I think New York should spend every penny they got to create single centralized locations where all the illegal immigrants go. So that way it's cheaper for Trump when he goes with a handful of ICE agents to round them all up, put them in buses, and send them home.
That's right. You just post dudes up at the exits and
wrap some chicken wire around it, pull up a bus and be like, everybody in you go. We're giving you a ride home.
Set security, get in there and see ya.
So it is absolutely insane they're doing this. However, I am kind of serious about it. I mean, a hotel centralized in New York where all of the illegal immigrants are, it's going to be the easiest ICE raid ever. You send one guy with a clipboard. He's going to walk up and be like, I got a van outside. That's all. You don't need anything.
I'm just glad that I don't live in New York, so I don't have to pay that New York City tax that's going to go to the funding of this.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, I think a couple things. You got to be careful. You don't want to give up the best city in the country and just blow it off. It's important. It's a cultural hub. It's a financial hub. It would be great to have control of it. And where I'm from, we're not real fond of New York City, but I still don't want to just piss it down the drain. Yeah. You know what I mean? And then secondly, didn't we just find out like 6 months ago or so that New York was shipping welfare recipients to New Jersey because it was cheaper to house them there? So they're keeping them on welfare, like New York City welfare, and then housing them elsewhere. So they're offloading miscreants. At least this is what I heard.
I hadn't heard that, but it wouldn't shock me at all. I mean, I agree with you. Like the idea that we should just write New York off is, I think that's unpalatable to most Americans. But at the same time, New York has gone through bad city governments, and they've come out the other side. And I think that this is probably be the same situation. You'll get Mamdani in there for however long he's in there, and his policies will have the negative repercussions that these types of policies always do. And New Yorkers will get sick of it, and hopefully they'll find someone like Giuliani in the 90s or whatever to fix the city and bring it back.
Why does this work? Why does that work for New York but not California?
Because it's a city versus a state.
But I guess the hubs of California have been the same for how long, right? Like in California, it's other than like what San Diego, the rest of it is it's all blue everywhere in the cities and the outskirts of the state. It's red.
A lot of that is because of illegal immigration. Yeah. So, and I don't think that you can do that in New York City. I think that because it's a city, I think there are significantly different contexts because of the fact that it's a city. I mean, look, California's awesome. Like, it's beautiful country. Like out there is gorgeous. You can literally in January be sitting in Lakeview and looking up at, and looking up at the snow-capped mountains. It's gorgeous. That's really, really, really attractive to people, And so it's almost like California itself has empowered the state government to just brutalize the citizens
because they'll put up with it.
Yeah, because they'll put up with it because it's so nice.
It's the one where I'm just like, look, I would never want to live there because of the taxes and because of just the cost of living. But if I could, I would put up with it because it's such a beautiful place to be.
I think also their cities are more spread out. It's easier to get away from, the problematic type people, to use a word. You've got bigger suburbs, giant gated communities. Yeah. If you're rich in LA, Hollywood area, you live up on a mountain with security. And if you're rich in New York, you've got a penthouse, so you're still dealing with it,
I think that's totally right. It's easier to isolate yourself. If you don't like the cities, you can go live in the desert, go out into just maybe half an hour, 45 minutes outside of the city. And it's not the same culture, even if you have to deal with the laws. And I think in California, it's such a big state that I think there's a lot of people that do a lot of skirting the laws out there. People that are just like, I pay my taxes because I have to, but the other things that aren't.
No 10-round mags here.
Out in the desert, there's a lot of mags. Big mags,
Well, on a positive note, maybe we'll get a Taxi Driver Part 2 that won't be a crappy remake. You know what I mean?
Wasn't Joker a remake of Taxi Driver?
Yes.
See, I don't know.
And Kings of Comedy. I mean,
like a mixture of the two.
Yeah. But you could also, what you don't want is a remake of Falling Down.
Yeah.
Right.
Stay away from that one.
Did you not like Falling Down?
I loved Falling Down.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Michael Douglas. He's just getting bigger and bigger. That's all the movie is. Yeah. He just keeps getting a bigger weapon.
Yeah.
Smart moves.
Like that archetype of the guy with the glasses and the white button-up shirt. It's like just see that guy come, just run.
He's kind of a dick though.
Run the other way.
Just wanted breakfast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanted breakfast.
My favorite scene is though when he's sitting in the park and the two guys come up and they're like, "This is our turf," and he tries to be like, "I didn't realize," and then they shake him down anyway. What is that? Is that when he beats him with the briefcase?
Yeah.
What a great movie. What's the final weapon that he gets?
Oh gosh, it's been so long.
I know, right?
Wasn't it a rocket launcher?
I thought it might have been the rocket launcher. He just keeps getting bigger.
It's been a long time since I
Could
saw
you
that.
imagine pitching that in Hollywood? Like, here's my movie. It's Michael Douglas, and he starts up with a briefcase, and he beats people, and he gets bigger and bigger weapons until the movie ends.
I mean, the idea is that movies were better when there was more cocaine in the executive office.
You know, I think you're onto something.
No, it's 100% true. It's the sanitization of Hollywood executives that has ruined movie making because nobody's just ripping lines and then saying, "I got an idea."
The idea that he keeps getting bigger and bigger weapons, it reminds me of like the people that were started trading with a paperclip and ended up trading to a house. That's what he's doing just with weapons.
I think that's actually happened several times.
Yeah.
Like, there are people who make videos about it now.
Yeah,
Where
YouTube videos about that.
yeah. You like knock on someone's door and you're like, I got a business card. What are you going to give me for it? And then they're like, I'll give you a pen.
Okay.
And then the guy takes the pen and you're like, I'm filming a video. And then I had a paper clip and made it all the way to a house.
A pen is significantly more valuable than a business card.
But the reality is, in the early stages of those trades, the pen is valueless to the person. They're like, I got a bunch of pens laying around. Oh, he got away from you.
He got away that time.
Mosquito.
Wasn't quick enough.
Maybe someone can go around New York and trade a bunch of stuff to get that hotel.
I mean, haven't they been doing this in Portland for a long time? The hotels for illegal immigrants.
I don't understand how the system survives.
I don't think that it's working in Portland, and
I'm
I
saying,
don't
but
think
they've
it
tried.
does.
Like, I mean our society.
Well, he wants to open this hotel he wants to get this hotel because then he can put the government-run grocery stores right next to it.
Do you guys think that we've passed the event horizon of social collapse based on young Americans not wanting to work, not knowing how to work, and the fertility crisis?
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more to do with the fact that, like, whenever these topics come up, people are like, eventually people will learn that free markets are the way. I'm like, no, they're going to turn to the government.
Yeah.
Like they always do,
100%.
right? Like they haven't been trained, that they haven't been taught either by their families or by society to be self-reliant.
This is what people don't understand, right? When you have social disorder, who's in charge when there's no government, right?
Whoever's the most brutal.
The most brutal guy wins.
Yeah.
And so you end up with barbarians. And the joke is that if, like, the U.S. government collapsed, there's going to be like a prison gang that uses the prison as a base and starts taking over things, right? Okay, well, who's the most brutal guy literally right now?
Most brutal guy right now. I mean, the American
Barbecue.
government.
The U.S. government,
The
indeed.
government, yeah.
So when social order starts breaking down and there's no food, there's no resources, people will go to the most brutal guy and say, I will do anything you say as long as you give me food. And this is what we see time and time again, like in Venezuela. The people who join the military are guaranteed food while everyone's starving. All you got to do is shoot your neighbor if they step out of line. So, and what I mean by that is they will order the Venezuelan National Guard, go out with guns and open fire if ordered to, and you will want for nothing. And so these people are basically like, look, I don't know you. I don't care. It's either I do this so I can feed my family or my children starve. And they do not care about you.
I mean, look at the whole, like, we were talking to Terrence when he was here a couple of weeks ago. And I was talking about how AOC could actually get the nomination and could get elected. And he was like, no. But the situation, the context that Tim's talking about is exactly the situation that would lead to someone like AOC. And maybe it's not AOC, maybe it's Mamdani, right? Like, so maybe he does a couple of years. I don't know how long the New York mayor is in office, but he does a couple of years as the New York mayor. With that kind of position and that kind of high profile, you can guarantee that he will have his sights set on the presidency.
Oh, I didn't know that he was allowed to run for president.
Oh, no, you're right. My bad. I'm sorry. I
He's
apologize.
not, he wasn't born here,
true.
right?
That's true. But someone like him with the same kind of politics that was born here. Yeah.
Look. The Constitution is only what people are willing to enforce. And it is conservatives who live in this world of, so as it is written, so must it be done. But the reality is the Constitution has never been enforced. Not once. We only got the right to keep and bear arms in 2008 and only, technically, 2010 with Chicago v. McDonald, I think it was. And so everyone's like, we have a right to keep and bear arms. Well, you actually didn't until 2008. States could actually arrest you and say you can't have a gun. And so that right, although it was enshrined in the Constitution, wasn't actually interpreted to mean you literally could just have a gun. Free speech? No, because they had blasphemy laws. They arrested George Carlin for swearing. Free speech didn't exist the way we understand it until recently. So my point ultimately is the Constitution says you got to be born here, Yeah, okay, right. Give communists enough power and wait till they change the meaning of natural born citizen. And they'll be like, no, it means born of nature, not from a test tube. In West Virginia, this is my understanding. I never actually read through their constitution, but I was told by local politicians that drinking and gambling are banned in the Constitution. So you can't pass a law or legislation that's going to allow gambling and drinking. So what they did was, how can we legalize liquor in West Virginia when the Constitution says no alcohol? I got it. Clearly they meant methyl alcohol, not ethyl alcohol. Obviously they banned methyl. Wood alcohol will kill you if you drink it, but sugar alcohol is fine. So, boom, here we go. And despite the fact they knew exactly what the Constitution was trying to say and what their ancestors were trying to prevent, they said, we all just kind of look at each other, shrug, and say, screw them, we're doing it anyway. So when people are like, Zoran Mamdani can't run for president, or Arnold can't run for president, or whatever, I'm like, dude, give it time. If the communists get enough power, Cenk Uyghur's already made the argument that he should have the right, because he's a naturalized citizen, that should qualify. Otherwise, he's a second-class citizen.
Yep.
And there's an interesting argument there. That's like we've talked about it. Because of the way the Constitution's worded right now, a Chinese woman can have a kid in the United States as a tourist, leave immediately, and then 20 years later, that kid moves back to the United States without knowing a word of English, goes to school, studies for 15 years, and then can run for president. I mean, that makes no sense. So I think they absolutely, you know what, let me just put it this way. Do you guys actually believe, if given the opportunity and the political power, Democrats would not change that in some way?
They would do anything they possibly could to maintain power.
I can't wait to read Ketanji Brown Jackson's dissent.
AI generated.
Yes. It's going to be great.
So I'm going to say this. I did a segment on this, on the rumor that it was AI generated. I think it was.
No kidding.
Well, she has one point in it. She says, a Martian arriving from another planet. And immediately everyone went, Martian means from Mars. Like Martian is demonym of, is a fictional Martian life, like Mars life. What?
Yeah.
Like
I think
that was
colloquially, that's not necessarily going to be helpful.
either way, why would a Supreme Court justice write some nonsensical fiction about a Martian? It's something that an AI would generate telling a story.
She was born on Mars and then lived on Venus for a minute.
She also had a ... wait for it ... like and who's going to be the real person selling power ? Wait for it ... The executive branch is like, or no, she wrote the district courts, and it's like that's not a legal opinion writing. That's like a feminist blog writing.
There was ellipses in it?
Yeah, ellipses, parentheses, wait for it, parentheses, ellipses.
That's the best.
Yep.
It was good that the rest of the SCOTUS kind of, smacked her down for that.
I think it was AI generated. Let's jump to this next story, my friends. We got this one from Not the Bee. The newest left-wing conspiracy is that Trump is throwing migrants off planes into the ocean for real. When I for my noon morning show, I guess my noon show, I guess you can't even call it morning show. This was the lead, and the first comment that pops up was someone saying, "Is this clickbait?" To which someone responded, "Yes, it is." First of all, clickbait, I'm going to say it again for those in the back, is when you leave information out of the title. So you'd say something like, "This celebrity did the most disgusting thing. Wow." That's clickbait. This is an actual story that is so insane, people didn't believe it. They thought I was making something up to get them to click on it. That's not correct. There are millions of views on these TikToks where people are making this
Guys,
claim.
they're throwing the deportees out of the planes and into the ocean. No, this is not a drill. No, this is not fear-mongering. They're shackling people, flying out into open ocean and throwing them out, okay? The flight patterns, there's people tracking
It's all
them
not true.
on this app.
All fake.
The flights going out with the
Okay.
Someone
I don't know.
showed her the videos of planes taking off from Afghanistan during the pullout.
Check this out. This is another post. ICE plane leaves for Sudan. Sudan says ICE plane never arrives. ICE plane arrives back empty. Shackled bodies wash up on the beach of Majorca, downstream of a U.S. regime airbase. Also, all fake. The real story was that Trump was flying migrants to South Sudan. A court said he violated their order. They stopped in Djibouti where they were placed in holding and then did not move. Sudan then says, where's the plane that's supposed to arrive? It was in Djibouti because the court said stop. Trump then won the rights to do it. So it may be that eventually they then will bring those migrants to South Sudan. Crazy leftists then say, aha, this proves it. I don't know if there's I don't know if there's some of these other ones.
All these pictures with like Trump and the plane, they should have put Trump in like a Pinochet costume.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I mean, couldn't he have been dumping them like near Alligator Alcatraz?
That's what they claimed.
Okay.
One of the flight paths they posted was from Costa Rica over the Pacific and then back to Costa Rica. And I'm like, my dude, we don't have migrants in Costa Rica, and the bodies washed up in the Mediterranean, which is from the Atlantic. So they're literally just taking random things. There's one dude who's got 200,000 likes and 7,000 comments on TikTok, indicating probably 1 million plus views. And he goes, I have no reason to connect these stories. And then it shows 5 shackled bodies wash up on beach. And then it shows Trump shackles migrants. And he goes, but we cannot be naive. And I'm like, oh boy.
Oh, yeah, you can.
So,
yes, you can.
I mean, this is the natural outcome of independent media becoming a thing, is that people may turn to independent media like this, but people also are turning to TikTokers to get their news and their information. So
I agree. And I think it's for the component is like that first woman in this video. Let me ask you, Brett. She talks about 2 things. The first of which is Trump throwing migrants out of a plane. What do you think the second thing she brings up is?
have we not?
Sharks.
What's up?
Sharks.
That is actually one of the things that you saw me talking about it. One guy says this is shark-infested waters.
Oh, okay.
So they've graduated. But no. She goes on to start talking about how she's not getting enough followers and shares from talking about this, which clearly means she's being shadow banned.
I think this is connected to the 50th anniversary of Jaws, which just came out. This would be great promotion for the 50th anniversary steelbook for Jaws.
It is. One of the videos is a guy saying not only are the reports the planes are going out there, it's like one guy's been begging people to hear the story, saying please, because they're throwing his like the people he knew, these migrants, out of the plane, but these are also shark infested waters.
Well, I got some sad news for her. China owns that app, and they're known for sowing discontent in America, so I'm pretty sure they're boosting you, if anything.
I did
Sorry,
just
lady.
see
It
that
might be the septum piercing.
I did just see that YouTube Shorts have surpassed TikTok in views, though I think that has some funny business to do with what they count as a view now. But YouTube, one of the crazy things is now people think that because of that, just the fact that TikTok got banned by the U.S. government allowed YouTube and Meta to come in and take all those views, because a lot of people who use the platform gave up once they found out that it was going to be banned. They're like, I don't want to invest a bunch of time into a platform that's going to get banned anyways, and Trump keeps pushing back the date on the ban.
And he has no authority to do that.
Well, yeah, through executive order. And they don't want to enforce it anyways. But, that's who these people are going to watch now. They're going to watch the lady on TikTok in her living room who's telling you that shark-infested waters are now being used to house migrants.
That's great.
Someone commented, Tim, if this turns out to be true, will you apologize? And I said, if it turns out to be true that Donald Trump is rounding up illegal immigrants on cargo planes and then dumping them out of planes into the ocean, not only will I apologize, I will call for him to be impeached and convicted, as will literally every Republican in the House and the Senate. So there you go. I really don't think it's possible that this is actually happening.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that gif of the guy that's like, I prefer not to speak. If I do speak, I'm in big trouble. You ever see that one? Well, that keeps going through my head as we're talking about it.
I mean, look, I don't think that there are any stories that people that hate Donald Trump won't believe if it's critical and cast Donald Trump and Republicans in a bad light. And I think that this is, more evidence of that, whether it be, this or, kids in cages or whatever it is. They want to believe the terrible stories. They want to hear them. They want that fan fiction that Donald Trump's the evil orange man. They believe it in their heart, and everything they hear that confirms their bias, they're going to be like, yes, it's true.
I mean, he looks pretty cool in all the artwork that they created for it. So they're not doing a great job of making him look bad.
No, but
yeah, it is. It's like the low budget AOC standing next to the fence crying. It's like the lowest budget version of that.
We need to make a picture of her in a boat crying, looking into the waters.
With some shackled people.
Well, I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm saying she goes out to the middle
photo.
of. Yeah, I do you know what that's from?
I mean, the portrait looks like his.
No, the whatever movie that's from. You don't know? But you're supposed to.
Oh,
Pop culture guy over here doesn't know what movie that is.
Is that The Fugitive?
No, it's the one where Harrison Ford. It's the one where Harrison Ford was the president.
Get off my plane.
Air Force One.
Was that it? Get off my plane.
Air Force One.
I thought it was Where's My Son?
That's Ransom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Aren't there
And that's
like
Give Me Back My Son.
Give Me Back My? Are there like 12
Mel
of those
Gibson.
movies?
Yeah. That's Mel Gibson. Those are like those lines are always like kind of written into my brain because they were in all the trailers and all the movies that I like on the VHSs of the movies that I watched growing up.
You know, they used to make a lot of movies about people trying to get their kids back.
Yep.
You know?
Taken, which is a
Yeah.
great movie.
They made 3 of them.
I mean, that's a later example of it too. That's
yeah.
Ransom was like
It
1995.
is pretty funny that there's 3 Takens. It's like, dude, at a certain point, you're just not doing a good job.
Well, he gets taken.
Stay
in the
home.
second one. So
He gets taken?
He gets taken in the second one, right?
I thought the second one was his wife gets taken or something.
No, like in the first one, it's his daughter, who's like the oldest looking teenager ever. She's like 28 when they made that movie.
Yeah.
Maybe it's her in the second one and him. Like he has his daughter set off grenades in Poland in the second one. I'm like, you probably killed like 20 people when you did that.
Well, you know, whatever. I don't know, man. You know, my big concern with this though is that the left believing this, and they do. What do you think a person who thinks this is true is capable of doing?
Oh, anything. I mean, that's why. What's his name tried to kill Trump? You know, because of the guy that was in touch with people from Ukraine was trying to get I don't remember what the artillery or whatever heavy weaponry that he was trying to get, but like he was trying to get whatever he could to attack Trump, and it's because the left has been saying, look, he's Hitler for a decade, and it's going to affect people.
And I'll say this: the reason why people can believe this story on the left is because they have been told the worst possible things about Trump were true for years. So for a sane person who's watched Trump rallies, who's, you know, actually knows the news, the idea that Donald Trump is loading up cargo planes full of shackled immigrants and dumping in the ocean is laughably absurd. But if you're one of these MSNBC people, you're going, I knew it. Mm-hmm. It's just 1 degree more than they already told you he was doing.
Mm-hmm. It's just, oh, see, I knew it.
I love how they're also claiming now they're posting pictures of alligator Alcatraz saying, and now Trump is building concentration camps.
I love it. the more histrionic they get, the happier I am. I mean, these people are ridiculous. And if they actually believe this stuff, which I do think they're.
I mean, they do though.
Well, there's at least a certain percentage that do. You know, I like it, and it makes me laugh because you know they're doing this to themselves by you know indulging these ridiculous fantasies.
Well, it's stupid too because there's so much banal evil in politics that you don't need to get so histrionic with it. Like, there's plenty of evil in politics that doesn't have to sound so flashy.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
mean, the
everything
majority.
we're seeing with Trump's big, beautiful bill, someone's getting screwed over and someone's taking a buyout. Like Murkowski was given, what was she given? Like
Oh yeah, she got a boatload.
billions,
of stuff. I don't know.
billions of dollars or whatever for Maine or something. Is that where she is? She's in Maine. Alaska. Sorry. Yeah. Collins is Maine, right?
For 250,000 people. There's 250,000 people in the whole state, if I
I
understand.
mean, hey, if you live in Alaska, you're going, yes.
Yeah, I guess so. Like, well, you know, we're not gonna have the sun all winter, but at least we get all these goodies from the government.
Yeah, if you're up north, the crazy thing is they got a long growing season with really long days.
And tons of mosquitoes.
Big watermelons. That's where they grow the big water because the sun's out so long, you know?
Do they still pay people to live up there?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get a royalty from oil and stuff like that.
Subsidies or whatever.
I think we need to occupy Alaska. I think we need to invade Alaska.
I think we do. Occupy Alaska. We got military bases up there.
There's a bunch of restrictions on being able to do any kind of development, but apparently there's a lot of resources and potential rare earths and stuff. But it's this massive landmass that's like as big as, what is it, bigger than Texas or whatever? Mm-hmm. We don't do nothing with it.
I think it's like twice the size of Texas.
Yeah, I think it's almost double.
Man.
You're going to get my autism going. My conservation autism's triggering right now.
This is a bit. Go ahead.
I was going to jump to the next story unless you wanted to add something.
No, I'll ask after the.
Here we go from Fox News. DOJ indicts suspect who went viral for delivering protective gear to anti-ICE protesters on live TV. Let's go. Justice Department charges Alejandro Orellana with conspiracy to aid and abet civil disorders after delivering face shields. They got him, boys. Everybody was wondering who's paying for this. And it's not just this. So they got this guy. There was that lady I don't know if you guys saw the viral video of the black woman in Portland screaming at the ICE protesters because she's like, "You're harassing us." I'm not sure if it was her, but somebody was saying these people are leaving and going into office buildings. Someone is paying for their access to these resources to be able to sit outside of ICE. I think it's the government. I think the state governments are using the far left as essentially corsairs. They want illegal immigrants. It gives them political power at the federal level. They get electoral college votes, the more illegal immigrants they have, but they cannot use their sanctioned law enforcement to physically attack ICE. They can sanction these street activist protesters all wearing masks and then say, oh, gee, it's not us. It's just the people that are mad at you. But I think California, Oregon, Washington intentionally want the riots and they want to stop deportations.
I don't know about, well, I mean, I'm sure that California, at the very least, they want to seem like they're trying to stop the deportations because that's going to look good to their voter base.
But they can't actually hit an ICE agent.
Sure.
LAPD can't be instructed to go attack ICE. They can tell the Antifa people to do it. They can put undercover personnel in with black bloc Antifa and far leftists to instigate fights and then leave.
It's impossible. I've told that Antifa isn't a real thing. It's not even a group.
Yeah.
You're right.
God, that's frustrating.
That you still hear that argument too.
You still really?
You still like it depends on how deep on Twitter you go, but you'll definitely still hear that argument, even though you can point to like pages where you can buy merch.
Yeah.
In Facebook groups.
It's frustrating because those, like, when it was the January 6th rioters, you know, they go to jail for however long without trial or whatever and stuff. And when it's when it's Antifa, it's like, oh, that's just an idea. You know, never mind the fact that you have video after video after video of people wearing black bloc or people dressed for a black bloc holding Antifa flags. But, you know, it's just an idea. It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. So Trump is saying they may vote on the bill tonight.
Interesting.
They may pass it tonight, and it's sounding like Republicans may have enough votes to do it, but we'll see. In the meantime, I guess I'm wondering with, you know, the escalation of the violence and resources for this, do we expect these protests, these riots, to reach a higher degree of conflict in the years to come?
You mean like through the summer and then worse when summer comes around next year?
There was just some kind of mass shooting in, where was it, like Portland?
Portland, Idaho.
Well, there was one there, but in Portland. So I think it was, I'm not entirely sure what happened. I think a Somali guy yesterday was opening fire or stuff. I'm wondering if, you know, with these leftists arguing Trump is throwing bodies out of planes, do we start seeing something worse than Weather Underground level violence, bombings, and attacks?
You know, obviously you've been sitting here trying to crack jokes and stuff, but maybe, I mean, I get death threats and I'm a total nobody, you know? So if it's reached a level where just idiots who get bucked off of horses for money are getting death threats, I would say it's a pretty good sign that it's not going to slow down. And then you've got this kid up in Coeur d'Alene that shot a bunch of firefighters.
Yeah.
Do we know what the motivation was for that?
I haven't seen yet.
Wasn't it that he like applied to join the fire department and was rejected? I read that, but I could have been wrong.
I don't know. I saw some. I'm pretty sure he was a lefty. I'll say that much based on the things I saw.
Hated his man.
So,
Yeah.
and it's you know, it's a travesty anytime this kind of thing happens. But when one party seems to be excited about it, that's a dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and their rhetoric has been pushing for this kind of stuff for a long time. And the fact that there's been all kinds of violence from the left for the better part of the past 10 years that's been excused. You don't hear politicians speaking up about all of the riots in the street, all the riots during 2020. In fact, they were, you know, Kamala Harris was bailing people out. They were saying mostly peaceful. It was making excuses for all this stuff. And when you do that long enough, then the people on the left start thinking, well, we can get away with whatever we want, you know?
And there's the long-held belief, like that they push that the idea is that all domestic terrorism has always been a right-wing idea, which is obviously because they never actually talk about anything that's done by lefties.
Yeah, never mind the fact that like leftists actually bombed Congress in the 80s. They were in the House. There was a bomb, and then Bill Clinton pardoned that person not 10 years later or whatever.
And then didn't one of them end up in Obama's administration as an advisor or something like that?
I believe so. And I'm not sure the details of it, but I do recall hearing something like that. But again, you know, they just say, oh, it never happens, or, you know, that doesn't happen, and ignore it or sweep it under the rug. the shooter that went and shot up the congressional, baseball game.
Yeah.
Steve Scalise is still in a wheelchair because of that. I think he has to have a colostomy bag because of that.
Oh my
God. That doesn't happen from left. It's only the right. It's ridiculous.
Attacks on Rand Paul, right?
Well, yes, those were there. There was the one that his neighbor got into a fight with him, and Rand actually had to subdue him and hold him until the police arrived. Which, good on you, Rand Paul. But there was also the attack when him and his wife were walking through D.C. and they were harassing him. This stuff happens regularly, and it's just always ignored. It's like, well, and they make excuses. Well, if you can't, oppress people this way, and et cetera, et cetera. It's all ridiculous garbage. You can't allow this stuff, make excuses, and not expect more of it. So.
Well, I mean, there's a prevailing idea that all the violence is justified because they believe that the ends justify the means, and that it's okay because they're working towards a greater good.
Yeah, it's
I just think it's social decay. I don't think these Antifa people think anything, honestly. Like, I think they're just out there, like, There's a group of people. It's their friend group. Their friends are doing a thing. They're doing a thing too. They couldn't tell you up, down, left, or right about it.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that it's always cast as, well, we're fighting oppression and we're fighting the bad guys. You don't have to know much more than that. It's real easy to be like, well, clearly my friends are saying these guys are the bad guys, so we got to fight back and we got to defend ourselves. And it's ridiculous, and I can go on and on about it.
Well, Aaron Bushnell started himself on fire, self-immolated, and they said he should be proud for what he did.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. Because I don't think that anything I have to say about Aaron Bushnell is going to be TOS friendly.
Okay.
About that. So,
part of me kind of hopes that these people just fizzle out and give up.
I don't think that this seems with the amount of propaganda that can be found online and the way your algorithm feeds you material. I don't think that's possible.
I mean, considering Trump winning the popular vote.
I think that what needs to happen, and I know that I sound like a broken record with this, but the better the economy is and the fewer people are struggling and the more people feel like they're invested in society, the fewer radicals you're going to have, the fewer people you're going to have that say, well, my situation sucks, so maybe if we tear everything down, my situation will be better. There's a lot of people on the left that look at the situation and they're like, well, I don't have anything and I got nothing to lose then. So if we tear everything down and I got nothing at the end of it too, so it doesn't matter to me. And if you get enough people like that feel that way, they're going to tear it down. Particularly when you have so many young men that are in a position where they feel, like they're outcasts or they have no future and stuff. They feel like they can't, either get a good job or they can't find a wife or they'll never have a family, can't buy a home. All these things that people feel like they can't have or can't get. I mean, they're just like, well, what does it matter if we tear it all down?
I don't know how we come back from the social decay. Young people not only can't afford it, they mostly won't work for it. I hear it over and over again. There's these viral videos from business owners that are like, Americans don't want to do the job, so they got to get illegal immigrants. Elon Musk, I think it was it Musk talking about this, that American workers are lazy.
Well, that was during the H-1B visa stuff with Vivek.
And he's like, if you want to get a hard worker, they got to be from India. Yeah. And so that's why they do it. And my attitude is, no, just take what you've got, and we've got to bite the bullet, and we're going to have lazier workers if that's the case. But it doesn't matter. You're not going to rebuild your country by bringing in foreign workers and letting your generation just struggle. Mm-hmm. But I think we're past the event horizon because Gen Alpha is way too small. You can, if Trump does have these mass deportations take effect and denaturalization of criminals, we're going to drop 20 million people if he actually succeeds in this.
I think the big beautiful bill is actually advanced now.
It's not advanced. It's moving to a vote. What you're looking at is them deciding whether or not they should consider it for a vote.
Okay.
Voting to advance the bill.
Yep.
See, that's why everything in government moves so slow, is they have to vote to advance the bill just to vote on the bill.
I mean, that was the big news over the weekend. It was like the Senate it was like they voted yes on Trump's big beautiful bill. What does it mean? It means they're going to vote on it. I'm not kidding.
J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote.
They cast a vote to bring it to the floor for a vote. And I was
That's why
like,
people
what?
hate politics.
Yeah. So yeah, apparently right now I've got the PBS Live pulled up. They the Fox of North Carolina amendment on agreeing to the amendment.
You're going to go to New York to buy your groceries, and they're going to have to vote to sell you the groceries at your government-run grocery store.
Well, on that H-1B thing, though, didn't Microsoft just lay off like
6,000
2,300
people.
guys and then apply for like 6,000 H-1Bs to replace them with?
Wow.
That doesn't make sense if your argument is the Americans are lazy because it takes twice as much to replace them. That's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should stop the H-1B visa program. I don't know that it's going to happen or that it could happen or what the process would be. But the H-1B visa program, like, it's not bringing in people that are necessary to do these jobs. It's not like the O1 is the
What is O1? Exceptional talent?
yeah, where you have some kind of special reason to come to the U.S. The H-1Bs are just like, come on, bring people in, and then you get chain migration.
I'm fine with it. I just don't care anymore. Like, guys, you know, I think this country's got too many communists. I think everyone's a communist. I said this before. I'm only half kidding. When people come to me and say that they deserve entitlements, I'm like, it's communism. You know, it's like I'm not literally communist. I'm just saying, how did we become a nation where people are like, I deserve free stuff from the government in any capacity, literally 1 penny, free roads, free whatever it might be. The government is going to take from somebody else to give me a thing that I want.
I mean, well, just the whole, like, you know, basic, what is it, UBI, Universal Basic Income. I don't know where that idea came from, but that's extremely popular with people, young people on the left. And all that will do is just add to inflation, and that'll be the baseline cost for everything, you know. Whatever it is that you give to the people that for, you know, $1,000 or $5,000 or whatever it is per month, it's just going to end up adding to inflation, which is only going to compound our problems.
If you ever want to look at a hellscape, look at r/anti-work.
On Reddit.
Like, it's awful.
Oh, I mean, let's pull it up, dude. It's an ideological cancer. There's 2.9 million people in the anti-work subreddit. Pay labor a fair wage. Mark Ruffalo says extreme wealth of billionaires is making U.S. desperate, not immigrants. That literally makes no sense. Yep. It makes no sense at all.
A man working for the most capitalist industry in America, the movie-making industry.
I do also want to point out that I think it may be a lot worse than people realize. Right around COVID, during the whole COVID period, it kind of just feels like millions of people died. And like maybe because they did, I don't know. But look at this on the right of the page. How many idlers does it say? Anybody?
What's an idler? Where?
Right on the right side, it says idlers. There's a number.
Almost 3 million, 2.9 million.
2.9 million. Okay. How many not working?
747.
What that means is there are 2.9 million people subscribed to the subreddit. Right now, only 747 are actually there on the page. It used to be that it would say 2.9 million and you'd have 200, 300,000 people actively.
Really?
We call that the 1% rule. How is it now that Reddit has millions of people subscribed to this, but only a few hundred? This is true for every single subreddit. I've been feeling like this for a while, that it seems like tons of people just stopped interacting and disappeared from society.
I mean, it
could
sounds
be
like dead internet theory.
Yeah. Or it could just be that, I mean, dead internet theory that their bots would actually inflate the number. The number should be higher.
Yeah.
Unless it
All the IPs would be in India.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know, man. Nobody wants to work. What if this is just a cover for the fact there's no workers?
Well, I mean, our unemployment's too low for it to be.
But the unemployment doesn't count people not looking for work. So if we have 40 million young people who aren't even trying to work because 3 million of them say don't work, they don't count towards unemployment.
I've always kind of wondered, it sort of looks like we paper over the real unemployment rate with BS college degrees too. Not that there's anything wrong with college or whatever. I'm saying we put people that otherwise would be in the workforce into a BS degree pathway just to take them off of those numbers, you know? And then we're just sucking wealth out of them.
So the big news is that the House is expected to vote on Trump's bill in 1 hour.
Well,
Interesting.
Talking about it in the after show.
Earn their government paychecks working late.
Yeah, we may have big breaking news tonight. This will be interesting.
Is Mason in her pajamas?
It is sounding like it will pass, which is surprising.
Yeah, that's why they're going for a vote. I wonder if there have been any changes or what the wrangling inside the House was like.
Yeah. I think people are saying Polymarket's giving it 70%.
So you can gamble on the bill that's going to have gambling on the bill.
Yes, you can.
Yup. All right, let's see. Polymarket. Let's pull in your Polymarket. Reconciliation bill. 70% by July 3rd. Oh, man. Look at that 3% chance. If they vote on it in the next hour, that is a massive payout.
Somebody's about to make some good money.
You better put some money on that.
I ain't going anywhere near it. Look, if I put a $100 bet, you'll win $2,000. What?
Bro.
For real? That's a value bet.
You got $100. Toss it in there.
If you wager on, I don't think we can use Polymarket in America, right?
Oh, really?
If you wager $100 that the bill will pass by tonight, you will win $2,611. That's wild. How come no one's betting on that? They're like, oh, you know what it is? I talk about it all the time. We're on the forefront of the news.
Yep.
The Polymarket's not. So when the tweet breaks right now, and I'm reading it, literally it was like 26 seconds. It was tweeted 26 seconds before I read it, where it says they're planning on voting on this now. Most of the people who are wagering on this are going to find out in an hour or two.
So is DraftKings publicly traded? So you're going to have to like sell the stock now before they vote on it if they end up having to do all this stuff with reporting.
It's going to be funny if they're like, we decided that stock is gambling. You are wagering on a company's success. It's entirely a function of chance.
Never going to happen because
they make too much money on it.
Oh, look at here we go. The number dropped. More and more people are going to start buying July 2nd now.
It's actually even funnier to think that there's just a bunch of people in Congress that are just really into gambling that vote against it just because they really want to keep gambling.
If you bet $1,000, you win $11,000.
You got to do it.
Ooh, what if you bet $1 million? Only $300,000, because it only pays out with what is in, and the cap's really small. That's crazy. No, I don't. I think Polymarket's illegal in the U.S. Is it legal? Are we allowed?
I don't know. It's funny that it is because it's sponsored. Like the All In podcast sponsors them, and they've actually got some kind of.
Wait, Polymarket sponsors the All In podcast?
Yeah, they talk about Polymarket all the time. They got some kind of deal with them.
They could be. I know that. I think Kalshi is like the first legal market or whatever.
I don't even know what Kalshi is.
Kalshi is the legal American one.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Here we go. Look at this. When will a budget reconciliation bill become law? 85% says before July 5th. What is this? Before August, 98%. Oh, these are terrible bets. I don't want to wager on any of it.
Guarantee that it's going to be before August.
Yeah, well, I don't understand.
I don't get it either.
Polymarket's got a better question. Look at all these people milling around in Congress. What are they doing? Who's that guy? Look at him talking.
Who's that guy?
Yeah, what's he doing?
Doing nothing and using our money for it.
Well, that's standard Congress.
Something's happening. Should we find out what's going on?
Yeah, why not?
The nays are 212. The amendment is adopted. The question is on adoption of the resolution as amended. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no.
It sounds like there's
In the
30
opinion of
people
the
there.
chair, the ayes have it.
Well,
Isn't
Mr.
that
Speaker,
ridiculous how that works?
Gentleman from Massachusetts,
I will have to insist on asking for the yeas and nays.
yeas and nays are requested. Those favoring a vote by the
Congress
yeas
is
and nays will
stupid.
rise. Sufficient number having risen, the yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their votes by electronic device.
It just makes me hate politicians
The
more.
chair will remind
I love
everyone
how he's just like, the eyes have it.
in the House,
It's my opinion.
this
Whoever was
is a
loudest.
5-minute vote.
They're laughing.
Funny, huh? Hilarious.
All of that laughter just cost you so much money.
Well, but what was the amendment to the bill? Because they said they amended.
Here we go. On agreeing to the resolution as amended.
I do
doesn't that
love the
imply that it was-
1980s
Is this
motion graphics.
is this so HRES 566? This is the rules, isn't it? This is not the big beautiful bill.
I I have no idea what they're
I love the 80s motion graphics, though.
It's like C-SPAN. when we
Yeah,
were
it looks
kids.
straight out of. It looks like something straight
I
out.
mean, the government hasn't updated any of the computer systems. Why would they update this? You know. Actually, no. This is C-SPAN. It's not the federal government. It's PBS. So maybe it is.
So when it's saying as amended, does it mean as amended by the Senate and then brought back, or are they saying they amended it again in the House?
So this is HR 1. I'm pretty sure HR 1 is Trump's big beautiful bill, the omnibus. So this is HRES 566, which I think is just the rules.
I see.
So it's like all Congress does is waste time.
You got to be such a gosh damn nerd to get into this stuff, dude. It's like not making fun of you.
No, they intentionally have made Congress convoluted and nonsensical because all they're trying to do is steal power from each other.
Yeah.
So it's like any technicality I can use, and so it's become this ridiculously complicated nonsense waste of time.
Yep.
I mean, I just love in the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it, smile, and it's like, floor vote.
Knew that he was going to call.
Yeah,
for a
okay,
vote.
Yeah.
here we go. And so what, all of the members are there right now sitting in their chairs or something?
I don't know. I mean, I think so. I assume so because they all want to cast their vote.
You know, I feel bad for people who get in Congress because all their job really is to stand up in the well and yell about stuff and complain and then not actually do anything. And they could have just become a YouTuber like me.
Way more effective.
Seriously. I would argue that I and members of Congress do an equal amount of work towards changing things because again, but no, that's actually not fair.
less.
They do less in that they don't do several shows per day. They only do their stand-up fake outrage periodically so they can fundraise later.
That's the thing. They spend most of their time fundraising, you know.
Yeah, but their stock portfolios look so fantastic. There is a reason
That's
to be
true.
there.
That's true.
If I could, buy a stock and then vote on a law that's going to have an effect on the stock, I'd be looking great too.
Not
that hard.
maybe that's the American dream, Serve one term in Congress, pump your portfolio, and then retire with benefits.
And a pension, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
the American dream is to slip in the wrong driveway and sue. That's the real American.
To slip in a supermarket.
Yeah, well, like a rich person's driveway.
It's to get hit by a truck in a wealthy neighborhood.
It's like just in the right way.
Right.
Like you can still walk, but
The American dream used to be work really, really hard. You could buy a house and your kids will have a better future. Now it's hope that the car that hits you is owned by a millionaire.
yeah.
Try and run across the street without or try jaywalking.
Well, look at that kid. What's that kid doing? He's like dancing.
The movie Richie Rich, where the guy gives him the the movie Blank Check, where he gives him the blank check and he just writes $1 million into the check and then spends the money.
What my favorite part of Richie Rich was when they break into the vault and he's like, "Where's the money?" And he's like, "In banks."
In banks.
Like, what? Where's the money?
Like, if you're a kid, that just blew your mind the
Right.
first time. He's like, oh, that makes perfect sense. Why would he have rubies in this giant vault?
The vault was just full of like paintings and pictures and
It's like family photos.
Yeah. And he was like, "What?"
He goes, banks.
Banks. All right, we got 1 minute remaining. It looks like the yays. How come it says yeah, but they call it I?
I don't know.
That's how you spell yeah, ain't it?
It is. If you pronounce it, it's yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wait, there's no H? Yeah.
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 It means yes and yay. Nay. Why don't they just say yes and no? Why do they gotta, they mean different things?
Are those no votes representative of people that are not there?
I have no idea. But you can clearly tell that most people aren't there.
Right.
They got 30 seconds left, and there's only, what are we looking at? 75 and 59? 134?
And didn't Massey win during COVID on the whole quorum issue?
I don't know.
You have to have a quorum in order to actually pass something.
At least 2/3 of the House has to be there.
Yeah.
On agreeing to the resolution as amended. So they voted for an amendment and then voted for the amendment as amended, and now they're voting on the resolution as amended.
I just started hating politicians even more than I did before, just by that
Like
description.
worse than lawyers.
Yeah.
Okay, time's up, and the yays have it.
Lawyers.
So the time is up, but they're still voting. This is all fake.
And they're supposed to be calculating this with electronic methods. They're not doing a write-in ballot. So
2 people have voted after time. 3 people.
Unreal.
So here's what I don't understand. Clearly, the Republicans aren't there, and the Democrats aren't there. So how do the Republicans win? Because shouldn't the Democrats be like, hey, guys, when the Democrats go home, let's win the vote?
Yeah, you'd think.
You'd think.
Well, I mean, they're only 5 votes away from winning. Yo, how hilarious would it be if the Democrats win because Republicans weren't there?
I don't know how anything
They just had to go to bed too early.
Or what might happen? Now it's there. You go. It's going up. I think this is on agreeing to the resolution, the amendments that are put in it. I think if the Republicans lose this one, they go back to debating what's in the resolution.
And then get rid of that gambling stuff, and everybody can keep gambling.
They may have. Who knows? Because that Democrat from Vegas was saying she was going to get rid of it.
Yeah.
I do think that stuff might just end up going to the courts because there'll be lawsuits about it. Yeah. I like every casino in the country, every gaming industry.
We'll have the money to go throw just millions of dollars at attorneys.
But I think it gets settled instantly. I think the federal courts will just be like, yeah, we're not doing this. There's going to be like 800,000 lawsuits over it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think I heard a few months back that revenue generated from betting on the UFC exceeds the UFC's revenue each year now.
Wow.
I think I read that.
UFC is awesome.
Yeah, it is.
great.
Those are fun to watch.
See all those people making money, like betting on whether Angel Reese will make her first shot in the WNBA.
Yeah, did you see that? Wasn't it that I read somewhere that Caitlin Clark came in 9th place
Among players. First in fans, 4th in media voting, 9th in players. Because they're just jealous.
I mean, to be honest, I've never liked the WNBA more. It's basically Foxy Boxing.
It's turned into WWE.
Well, yeah. I like saying Foxy Boxing. Because WWE is, when you say that, people think of guys. You know?
What, the WWE?
Yeah, like when you tell someone we're going to watch WWE, they're thinking about big, sweaty guys. But when we're talking about women fighting each other, you think Foxy Boxing.
But it's also turned into like it's like a dog and pony show. Everybody's fighting and arguing with each other.
I do think it's funny that at some point some guy was like, let's have boxing matches with hot women beating each other.
We'll call it Foxy Boxing.
And they're like, that's brilliant. And they made money doing it. Do they still have that?
Is lingerie football still around? I have no idea.
That was Vince McMahon's thing, right?
Yeah, well, Vince McMahon is not exactly allowed in polite conversation anymore.
He is not.
No.
Oh, let's see. Is Foxy Boxing still around? No.
Yeah. All right, we're going to go to your chats, my friends, while we wait for this vote on whatever they're voting on. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. We're going to have that uncensored call-in show coming up at 10 p.m. at rumble.com/Timcast IRL. You don't want to miss it. We are waiting to see if they vote on the big, beautiful bill, which may happen at any moment. So I will say this. In the event that they do move for a vote, if it's looking like closer to 10, they're going to move for a vote, we'll keep going live, and we'll keep it as the... You know, we won't go to the uncensored version just right away if we're going to have major breaking news live. So we'll hold out for a minute. But for now, we'll grab your Rumble rants and super chats. Let's go. All right. Shane H. Wilder says, Alligator Alcatraz sounds like an early 2000s sci-fi movie, like Sharknado. And honestly, I'm here for it. It goes hard. Oh, and happy birthday, Brett. Man, you always live mas.
Happy birthday,
Thank you.
Brett.
You're eating Taco Bell earlier?
I did have some Taco Bell.
I ordered all of the Taco Bell.
It does sound like a 2000s movie. You should watch Velocipaster if you haven't seen Velocipaster.
To be honest, like, someone should make an Alligator Alcatraz film.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Or at least a fake trailer.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the plot writes itself, okay? There's an old, abandoned, flooded prison where the urban legend is that the warden was corrupt and was taking kickbacks that he was storing in a safe. Back in his office, but nobody dares go there because it's flooded in a swamp. And then they go there, and there's a gigantic alligator that lurks around and starts killing people on the team. And then in the end, only the main attractive guy and the young female co-lead escape, and only with some of the money.
Yeah. I mean, they still haven't made that Street Sharks movie from when I was a kid. That's what they really...
Well, they were going to make a Street Sharks movie?
There should have been a full-length Street Sharks movie.
Street Sharks.
They've mined every other property.
What was that show? Like a bunch of skateboarders got bitten by sharks or something? Or
something like that. Yeah. That and VR Troopers are the ones everybody forgets about.
We're talking Sharknado level stuff here.
Yeah.
Street Sharks. Oh, whoa, it's 138 to 136 because 2 Republicans voted no. Who's that? What? Agreeing to the resolution as amended. Like, again, I think that means they're saying we agree this is what the bill is.
Have you ever seen those like streamer videos where like a guy sits and watches a video of somebody drawing something? He's like, oh, this is cool. You could do that with this. You could be like, wow. 142. Wow, 2 voted no. I wonder.
No, you just do this. You point up at it and shake your head and go like that and go.
It doesn't have to mean anything.
All right, let's read some more. Evan for US says, evening, everyone. Join us in our growing YAL organization. As president of the Fort Bend County chapter, I'm asking anyone who wishes to fight for liberty to join your local YAL chapter today and help. All right. YFK says, as an Asian, eating rice with your hands is like Trump putting ketchup on his steak. Man.
Wait, so they're saying that that's endearing? Okay.
Lady Tight says, I hate giving Tim money, but I'm dead-ass convinced this damage is irreversible. It's going to collapse at some point, and you 100% need to stock up on family, bullets, prayers, and shelf life. It'll get ugly. Yep. Yakindia says, have you considered the gambling impact on state lotteries? This is actually pretty interesting because what the government is basically saying is they want a cut of all of the money spent on state lotteries. They're basically saying, like, we want 10% of all that money. That's pretty wild. Yeah, that's crazy.
The federal government is saying...
Oh, the Democrats are winning. The time remaining has been 0 for 10 minutes, and the Democrats are winning by 1 vote.
I don't understand the rules at all.
Time slows in that chamber there. They've got some type of time.
Okay, if I was a
device.
Democrat right now, I'd be banging, being like, call time, we win.
Right?
The nays have it right now at 154. 154 to 153. The nays have it. 2 Republican defectors. You think Massey's in there? Oh, damn. It's 160 to 154 now. The nays have it.
So what the hell are they doing? They're transferring it from electronics to parchment or what? They got a little quill.
They said that it was the electronic vote at the start. So.
Yo. Democrats could win it. You got 2 Republican defectors already, man.
I am extremely interested to see what happens with the actual bill, if it actually passes. And
if they do end up voting on this, like, what's polymarket?
if it passes, it goes directly to Trump, right? It doesn't have to go back to the Senate?
Or
do they change it?
It goes right. It goes right to Trump.
Okay.
I think if it's changed, it has to go back to the Senate again.
I think so.
I don't know. All I know is Polymarket says 72% chance it passes July 3rd. I suppose the assumption is it'll be past midnight when it does pass. The 4th has got 78%, but if it passes tonight, within the next 2 hours, that's a lot of money.
Gonna get paid, boy.
Gonna get paid. All right, let's see what we got going on here. Whatever happens says bingo time. We understand church bingo. Yeah.
What?
Voodoo says, Tim, you need to talk to a tax expert, not a gambler. You are wrong about how the tax filing works. In fact, I've talked to politicians, accountants, and professional gamblers. But if you'd like me to interview a tax accountant, I would. So the reason why I was saying that this is actually worse than we thought, and that gambling is the wrong phrase, is because it's wagering. And the tax code, there's no definition, a clear definition of what wagering is in law. But there was a Supreme Court ruling, I think it was a court ruling in 87, set precedent, saying that a wager is money placed on any contest where you could win from a prize pool, which is why a lot of people started freaking out, saying like, hey, this could wrap up fishing tournaments or like golf. And the argument is that the element of chance is slightly the conditions, but largely the amount of money you win. So they say, if you enter a contest where it's $100 to enter the contest, and your chance of winning money is not guaranteed, it's determined based on the amount of people who entered, something out of your control, your winnings are chance. That's the legal argument. If the contest says $100 entry fee with a guaranteed prize of $10,000, that's when it becomes skill. Because many tournaments are prize pool based, the government argues that's actually a bet, a wager. So that would be taxed. That's why people are freaking out. Anyway, but who knows? The big issue is that taxes are all interpretable and they change based on how someone's willing to interpret it. And then the IRS calls you and says, we disagree. And then you go to court, you argue it, and a judge says, I don't know, I guess maybe. So here's a question for you guys. Are Super Chats and Rumble Rants tips?
I would get my first response would be say yes.
They may or may not be. We don't know. There's no clearly. So that typically in tax law, a tip is something given without consideration. Consideration is a legal term for something of value. However, I guarantee you the government would argue that me reading some of them is consideration. If you pay me money, I will read your chat. However, guess what?
There's no guarantee.
It's a game of chance. When you super chat, the likelihood that I read your comments is random. You don't know what I'll end up picking, and honestly, neither do I. I just read which one pops up, and it seems to make sense to read, and we can't read all of them. So I've talked to my accountant about this. I've talked to lawyers about this. With the no tax on tips, if we want it clean, we could say we will no longer read super chats, and that means every super chat sent is a tip because you are giving money in exchange for nothing. However, the other argument is by virtue of it displaying your comment, that is legal consideration where you are offering up real estate for an individual to buy ad space for their views. So we don't know if it's a tip or not. We don't know.
See, guys, that's why you watch Pop Culture Crisis. We read all your super chats Monday through Friday, me and Mary. We do.
Every last one.
Every last one of them.
Except for the ones that Mary thinks might be offensive.
Unless Mary thinks that you said something abhorrent, then she might not read it.
Yeah. Straight up, I'm not reading that.
Rafflo says, yes, Trump is building concentration camps for the illegals. He wants them to study American history. And what better way to get them to study history than a concentration camp?
Well, it's just a camp where you can go to concentrate really hard on what you're learning.
Sheddick says, all professional sports, it become nonprofit and donate to a cause and use the donations to pay the donation workers based on the time they provide to gaining contributions to the cause. Now, no tax. Oh, man.
All sports leagues are nonprofits, right?
Yo, the Nays have it.
I remember when somebody told me that, I thought they were lying to me. I was like, that's crazy.
Well, because the teams are owned by individuals, right?
Or it's not for profit. Not
Yo, check this out. The Nays are up 15 with 4 Republican defectors. I think that's it. If it was, I think that's it. I think Republicans lost. If it was, what was it? It was 2020. I'm sorry. It was 220 to 212 was the split on the first vote. This would tie it. It's currently tied with the 4 nays. If every remaining Democrat votes, it'll be 216 nays. And if every remaining Republican votes yes, it'll be 216 yes. Tie vote.
See,
What happens then?
It's all fake. It sounds like a movie script.
We're in a simulation,
Again,
bro.
this is to see if they are going to leave it as is or move on or approve the amendment, right?
So I think the last vote was agreeing on the amendment as amended. And now the resolution, do they agree that this is the final resolution as amended? And if it's no, they're going to go back to debating the big, beautiful bill.
I mean, look, I hope it's no, and I hope that they actually make it worth voting on.
I think if they change, I think they've already amended it, which means it's got to go back to the Senate, right? I'm not entirely sure. This is so weird. Let's ask the robot. If the House passes a bill, I think that's why I went to the House. Then the Senate amends it, and it goes back to the House, who then amends it. Does it have to go back?
This is literally Ketanji Brown Jackson as she was writing her dissent right now.
With the amendments, it will have to go back to the Senate before it can be approved.
This is, and according to Eric Daughtry, he just said 5 minutes ago when it was only 2, he said if they lose one more vote for the big, beautiful bill, they can only lose one more vote for the big, beautiful bill to advance. So they lost 2 more, so it's not.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And again, with the so the no actually could be preventing it from going back to the Senate. If they say no amendments, so I don't know, maybe this might be good for Trump. It might be that the Republicans voting, well, I don't know why the Republicans would be voting yes on the amendments then. I'm assuming it's bad for Trump and it's the standard holdouts that are holding out. But it looks like the nays have it. So the bill is not going to be agreed upon as amended. I'm confused then. If they amend it, it has to go back to the Senate. The Senate's got to vote on it. And then you know what's going to happen? The Senate's going to amend it. Mm-hmm. And it's going to keep going back and forth forever.
Before August.
What a dumb system. I do think, however, there is a strong probability we are going to keep the Congress up live and delay or not even go to our uncensored portion if we have major breaking news literally happening right now. So, you know, usually we do this rarely for those that are familiar. If there's going to be a big moment, we have a debate or a speech or some big breaking news, we'll just keep the show going for a reasonable amount of time. If it looks like after this vote they are going to have another vote, we'll just keep it live and keep staring at it. But in the meantime, we can definitely read your chats. Patina Molina says, Phil, the gate theory discussed the other day isn't about liberal or conservative. It's about rural versus city. Rural people know that gates are usually meant to keep critters in their paddocks, not people out.
I'm not sure if that was the context, but
what were you talking about?
There is a I don't know.
Oh, you were saying like if someone walks in the middle of nowhere, they know to.
Yeah, if there's a gate, if the conservative would leave the gate closed because you don't know why the gate is there, and there's probably a reason, and a liberal might open the gate because they're like, oh, well, you should. They're comfortable with change or something like that. But again, it's I don't have the whole thing is not clear in my head. So
Does that mean there's like a person who just goes up to doors and just opens them?
I mean, there are people that are weird.
But what would happen if this gate was there and a rural juror went up to look upon it?
Juror?
A rural juror.
Rural juror?
A rural juror.
What are you saying?
Rural juror.
Rural juror?
A rural juror.
What is a rural juror?
It's a 30 Rock joke. Come on, you know this, right?
I don't know why. I don't watch 30 Rock. I've never seen it.
What's her face? I forgot the character's names.
Tina Fey's?
No. The Jane Krakowski's character.
Oh.
She's in a movie called Rural Juror, and she keeps saying rural juror, and no one knows. Rural juror? Like, what is that?
Good God, Lemon.
And no one knows what the name of the movie is? Rural Juror. All right, Grouty says, buck here and a buck there. Glad you are there. It is amazing when the chickens are out walking around. We have one of those automatic doors that when the sun comes up, the door opens and the chickens walk outside and they do their chicken business. But
automatic? That's cool.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. If you drive a couple blocks down, maybe like half mile, there are chickens just running around. And it's funny, like you'll see like just a chicken in like there's no houses. You're like, where is this chicken coming from? And there's like a rooster just standing by her, like looking all serious while the hen eats, because that's what the boys do, Mm-hmm. The boys stay and watch to make sure the girl's safe while she eats her food. And then when the cars come, they both run full speed, just like off into the distance. Now, the most magical thing we have out here is there's a stream that is only after heavy rain or in the springtime when the snow melts. And it's in a wooded area connected to a pasture. And the cows walk down through the forest to the stream and then stand in it and drink the water. And it is magical.
There's a farm on the way to this ledge that I skate all the time, and it's got huge signs up front that say the horses lay on their sides. It's normal. Don't call anybody.
Yeah, the horse is not dead.
It's not dead. It's fine.
Yeah, they
Leave
do
it be.
that. And this, when it's sunny, especially, they do look dead. Half the time, I get nervous.
Horses don't like. Do they always sleep on their standing up, or they can sleep standing up?
They can sleep standing up, but they like to lay out. I mean, they'll spread out just like a dog.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Who doesn't like to?
Yeah, I know. I kind of like it myself, actually.
Richard Dillon says, hey, Tim, what can I do to make my voice heard on the issue of gambling tax write-offs in the big, beautiful bill? I'm a semi-pro poker player, and I've invested thousands of hours studying and playing over the past 2 years. If this passes, I don't know if I can vote Republican again. Doug Polk is one of the most famous poker players in the world. He's got 500,000 subscribers. He's got millions of fans and followers. And he told me today, I hope Trump's bill fails. He says, it's attacking my industry and I hope it fails. And he's not a political guy. And I'm like, that's so brutal, man. We need this to pass. But they've got normies who are uninvolved in politics now rooting for its demise over this. And that sucks.
Yeah.
But whatever. I mean, moral victory. Woo. Gambling is bad.
It might be bad for that industry, but it would be way worse for the whole country if the bill doesn't pass because tax
that's
cuts
just
and
an argument to not have omnibus bills, though.
Well, yeah, of course. Omnibus bills are terrible.
I think this is where conservatives and libertarians really come together in that the libertarians don't care if they lose so long as they showed everyone how principled they were.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that Republicans are very happy to stand up and say ban gambling and then potentially lose Trump's agenda over it to show the world how righteous you are and how virtuous you are as the Democrats take over your country and burn it down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The libertarian, I got into it with libertarians today because I was like, I'm not really a libertarian anymore. And they're just so focused on, being principled that they would allow their opponents to have all the power of the federal government just so long as they're like, well, I was principled.
They're being beaten over with a club by the left, and then I'm going, dude, guy, just stop them from hitting you. And he goes, no, that would be unprincipled.
Well, I think part of that is because like there's actual conservatives in politics, and libertarians seem to occupy more of the realm of theory because they don't ever get elected. So obviously politics in theory is vastly different from politics in practice, and you have to make vast changes when it's actually in practice. So when all you're doing is focusing on a theoretical concept, it's easy to be principled. It's very different when you get, again, it doesn't mean that there isn't a problem with bills of this size which force garbage like this through, but it is the point, right? Is that eventually you have to do something about it.
Yeah.
All right. Kale says, Phil, as much as I want the HPA in short in the big beautiful bill, if it passes with removing suppressors from the NFA, it makes suppressors illegal in 17 states.
I don't.
Why would it do that?
I don't know why they believe that.
I read something about that too. Some language in like Montana and some other states that apparently that's what people are claiming. But I would tell you that Montana will just take care of that problem overnight.
Yeah, and the federal government has, or at least the Trump DOJ has said that suppressors are, protected under the Second Amendment. They consider them protected under the Second Amendment. So I don't know why that would be the case, and I'd be interested to hear the chatters, what the reason was, or hear more information about it. Because as far as I know, that wouldn't be the case, or at least that wouldn't be the case, the position of the DOJ. Now, obviously, another DOJ, when President Trump is no longer in office, could change that. But at the same time, anything that that is law now could change, in another administration. So I'm not sure why they believe that.
Yeah, and if you're a pro 2A guy, we all are, so far as I can tell. Proliferation is your friend. So the more cans you can get in hands, the faster, the better off you are.
Yeah, common use test and stuff like that. So.
Yeah.
So this vote right now is to bring the bill to the floor, and it looks like it's dead.
Yeah.
So they're not going to bring the bill to the floor.
At least not right now.
So we're going to go to the members only uncensored portion of the show. We will keep tracking this, but smash the like button, share the show with everyone you know. Head over to rumble.com/Timcast IRL to keep watching. We will have PBS pulled up to keep monitoring the situation, but we will go uncensored, which is much more appropriate. You can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Braxton, do you want to shout anything out?
PasturePeaks.com, that's where we sell our meat, and you can follow me online at Braxton_McCoy, I think it is, on Twitter, and that's pretty much it.
Yep.
Right on.
Guys, if you want to follow me, I'm on Instagram and on X at Brett Dastovic on both of those platforms. But what you should do is check out Pop Culture Crisis. Me and Mary are live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is noon Pacific, except for I think we're off this Friday for 4th of July. You should join us there.
I am Phil That Remains on Twix. I'm Phil That Remains Official on Instagram. The band is All That Remains. Our new record is entitled Anti-Fragile. You can check it out on YouTube, Apple Music, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, and Deezer. Don't forget the left lane is for crime.
We will see you all at rumble.com/Timcast IRL in just a few seconds. Thanks for hanging out.